Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome you to this webinar for the ERC Consolidator Grant Interview Preparation. In this webinar, I will give you some information on how to get prepared for your online panel discussion. This webinar is organized by Euresearch, my organization, for the ERC Consolidator Grant candidates who passed the first step of the evaluation procedure and are based in Switzerland. My name is Katja Wirth, and I am one of 3 Swiss national contact points, together with Véronique Sorde, who will be your moderator in the chat today. We have also a third colleague as ERC NCP, Judith Spinden. You can reach us with the email address erc@euresearch.ch. Please note that you will get this presentation after the webinar in a follow-up email. We will also send you a private link to the recording. You are and will remain muted during the entire duration of this webinar. We will also not use the camera. You are able to interact with us for any problem or question via the chat. I have to admit that I find it still strange to talk to the computer and not to be able to talk to you physically. I would so much prefer to see you all and interact with you and discuss your questions. But it is as it is at the moment. Well, during and after this webinar, you will have to ask questions in the chat room. Véronique is here to answer you. We will remain here 15 minutes after the webinar to answer all your questions. Please note that for confidentiality reasons, we will not share the chat content. As you know, this webinar is part of a training package that we offer to you in collaboration with our partner Euresearch. As we have written to you in our email, additionally to this webinar, you have the occasion to participate in a coaching with one of the 3 NCPs. The dates are the 21st of July and 20th of August. You find all the details in our email. Please be aware that we repeat this webinar on the 14th of July and 18th of August. This is not a series of webinars. And if you have registered for the other webinars too, send us an email so we can register you. Please note also that our services are for free. The second module that we offer to you will be carried out by Euresearch. Euresearch is a consultant company based in Amsterdam. We have been collaborating with them for many years for the preparation of ERC interviews, and we appreciate their expertise a lot. If you register for the second module, your coach will be Mette Grostad. She has extensive experience in reviewing ERC grants. She offers you to read your proposal and train you with the question and answer session for about 60 to 75 minutes. The fee is €565. This is a special offer inside our package for candidates in Switzerland. Please contact directly Euresearch to organize the training. If everything is clear, let's start now with the content of the webinar. We will provide you today with information on the timeline of the evaluation procedure, how to understand properly the evaluation instructions, how the panel is organized, how you should get prepared, do's and don'ts, and I will also talk on the resubmission rules and finally share with you some statistics. I will start with the evaluation timeline. This slide here shows you the planning of the evaluation that is published on the ERC website. You will get the final result by mid-December. In our experience, it can be earlier, perhaps already towards the end of November, but we never know, especially in these particular times. If you are successful, you will then enter in the grant agreement preparation phase. It is also during this period that you might solve any issues related to ethics. Once everything is prepared, you can start your project. And be aware that Euresearch, including the Euresearch regional office close to you, can always assist you and support you in every phase of the proposal and project. We will inform you later on the Swiss situation with the ERC in the future. But what is important for you to know at the moment is that if you get this grant under this 2020 call, your project will be safe, whatever happens with the Association of Switzerland to the next framework program. Everything, every project that is under the actual work program, under the actual framework program, will not be affected by an association or non-association of Switzerland to the next framework program. Some words about the instructions. You all will have received the instructions from the ERC that informs you on the settings, content, and duration of your interview. Please read it carefully. Note that the instructions are tailor-made for each panel. The length of the interview varies a lot among the panels. Regarding the duration, it is very important that you respect time and adapt your talk and your answers to questions to your time slot. But we will come to that later. Well, I'd like to give you now some information on the evaluation process. In the first evaluation step, as you probably know, only B1 of your proposal was assessed. Now, in the second evaluation step, your part B1 and B2 plus the budget are evaluated. The panel members assess your proposal remotely. In parallel, your proposal is also assessed by external reviewers. They are experts of your domain, whereas panel members are most often generalists. There is no guarantee that you have a real specialist in your panel. But this is not necessarily a disadvantage, because experts can be more critical with candidates of their own domain. Some words on the panels. Every panel has between 10 to 15 members and one panel chair. These persons are the same as the ones in step 1. You will have 2 to 3 panel members that are very familiar with your proposal and have read it in detail. Normally, you can easily recognize them because they are the ones that will ask the majority of questions. We assume that this will also be the case in the online interviews, but of course we have only experience with physical interviews in Brussels. This is the first time that the ERC carries out remote interviews due to Corona, so we have no experience with that. Conflict of interest is taken very seriously. Panel members who worked or published with you or are from your host institution are excluded from the evaluation of your proposal. You cannot know who is sitting in your panel. But in order to have an idea who might be in your panel, you can check the names of the Consolidator Grant panel members of 2018. There are 2 sets of panels that are active every second year, which means that in 2020, the 2018 panel members are active. We estimate that around 2/3 of the 2018 panel members are still active. You may want to Google the names of the 2018 panel to find out more about their background. The names of the panel chairs, on the other hand, are already published on the ERC website. You find the link to that list in the presentation. Evaluation criteria. You can find the evaluation criteria in the ERC work program and in the information for applicants. These criteria are important because it's the questions on which the evaluators will comment on, both the panel evaluators and the remote referees. It is certainly a good idea to read them again in detail at this stage. Answer these questions for yourself. Use these criteria also if you organize a mock panel interview with colleagues. Well, on the following slides, I'd like to share some tips with you. I start with the preparation for your interview. It is very important that you schedule enough time for your preparation. We strongly recommend to rehearse a lot. Rehearse in front of different types of audiences. Ask your peers, but also persons from outside your domain, and ask them to challenge you with difficult questions. Don't underestimate the importance of rehearsals. Be well familiar with your proposal and try to identify the weak points. Regarding your overall presentation, demonstrate why your research is so important and should be financed. Show also that you are up to date with the state of the art in your domain. The panel members want to understand that you know exactly what is going on in your field and that you know your competitors. The evaluators should also feel that you are the right person to carry out this project in terms of expertise, but also in terms of management skills and budget-wise. We strongly recommend you to have a clear thread, a kind of a storyline through your proposal. This is even more important as you have no slides to present. Your oral presentation, that will be very short in some panels, is your time slot to really convince your panel about your project. Start with the big picture and zoom then in. Your focus should be on the concept much more than on technical details. The panel can still ask further questions. Most of you will not have enough time anyway to talk on technical details. Some words on the feasibility. Your presentation should give the clear impression that your project is feasible, as much as this is possible in your time slot. And of course, you should prepare very well this point for the question and answer session. Of course, it is very important to stick to your allowed time slot. Train that a lot, again and again. I'd like to come now to the question and answer session. Usually the questions from the evaluators touch the project and the PI. These questions are often on the innovative aspects of the project, the novelty, but also challenges and weaknesses of your project. Questions can touch the methodology, the concept behind the project, and of course the feasibility. The panel members want to be sure that the project is feasible and will not fail. Questions from the panel members can base on comments that were raised by external reviewers who are the experts of your project. It is important that you provide short, clear, and concise answers to the questions from the panel members. And you should train that beforehand. The evaluators usually have little time to ask all the questions, and they want to know a maximum in order to understand all aspects of your project, and they want to have answers to all their open questions. Don't say, "Thank you, this is a good question," because, as you know, all questions of these eminent scientists are good questions. Never enter into a debate with the panel. And of course, there's no need to be arrogant. You can find on this and the next slide some examples of questions panel members might ask. They will probably ask you questions touching on the groundbreaking nature of your project and potential impact. For example, on the key concept, on the importance of your project, but also on your field in general. Questions can touch feasibility and risks. For example, they try to find out what you do for the feasibility of your project and what preliminary data you have. Questions can touch on the design methodology. They may ask you why you are using method A and not method B, how you will measure X, Y, and why you start with that sub-project and why you are doing it in this way and not in another way. Questions can also be on the resources of your project. Even this is less often the case. The panel will not discuss the height of salary cost, etc. But they will discuss whether all resources are needed to carry out the project. They tend to be more critical if you asked for additional resources. Regarding you, the principal investigator, you can find here different examples of questions that can be asked. And now some tips regarding your performance. You should demonstrate to the panel that you are happy to be invited to the interview. Indeed, this is a great opportunity for you. You have the opportunity to present your lifetime, your dream project to all these eminent scientists. This is a lifetime opportunity for you. So show that you're happy. Show your passion for your research, as much as this is possible in a virtual meeting. It is certainly more difficult as you are speaking to a camera, but try to bring yourself in a kind of flow. You should be confident. You are among the small percentage of the applicants that is invited to the interview. This means that you are among the best researchers in your domain at your research age. You are invited because you're excellent. Of course, the competition is high, but you are already quite close to the grant. Try to connect as much as possible with the audience and try to cope with stress before the interview. If you have the feeling that the panel is very challenging or critical, this can be a good sign. It shows that they are interested in your project. Talking online is different than talking in vivo. Your most important tool by far is your voice. Body language plays only a minor role, and the tool that makes a real difference is your voice. Be well aware of that. You should make an effort to articulate better and to speak slower. Check also well your microphone to ensure a good sound quality. Engaging with the audience can be tricky online. Use the intonation in your voice to grab the attention of the whole panel. Make short sentences. Look in the webcam directly. This is the only way how to make eye contact with your audience. Don't stop looking at the camera. Record yourself and check out what looks fine and what was not so good. Try again and again and again. Self-recording is a very important and powerful tool. Use it. Regarding technical infrastructure, we recommend you to prepare a professional setup together with your institution. Perhaps your Euresearch office at your institution can help you, or technicians at your host institution. Try also to have a professional background with the host institution logo on it, or whatever suits to your project or presentation. Use a professional micro and a professional camera. Dress up to show that this moment is important for you. Like if you had a talk at the conference of your domain, use the dress etiquette that is normal in your domain. Perhaps if you are in the IT domain, it's not normal to wear a tie, so you will not wear a tie for the interview. But just dress up a little bit better than on a normal working day. With this, you show also respect for yourself and respect for the panel. Well, with the follow-up email, we will send you guidelines about virtual presentation, where you'll find more tips about virtual presentation. I'd like to come now to the resubmission rules. As you pass step 1 of the evaluation, no resubmission restrictions will apply to you. But as I said, at the moment, the participation of Switzerland in Horizon Europe is not clear. The negotiation between Switzerland and the European Commission for the association of Switzerland to the next framework program Horizon Europe has not started yet. So at the moment, we just do not know anything. But be sure that Switzerland will do everything to be fully associated to Horizon Europe. The eligibility criteria in the ERC remain the same under Horizon Europe. So this eligibility window, 7 to 12 years post-PhD for the consolidated grant, will be the same. And the critical date to calculate the eligibility will remain the 1st of January of the call year. Please note that the call calendar of 21 will be delayed compared to the usual ERC call calendar. So the first ERC calls will only open in January or probably even later in 21. I'd like to share with you now some statistics regarding the consolidated grant. This graph here shows you the number of consolidated grants in 2019, the last round, as well as the success rate. You can see that Switzerland, which is on the right side here under the associated countries, got 24 grants and has the highest success rate. A higher number of grants was awarded to researchers in UK, Germany, France, and the Netherlands. The red line represents the average success rate. Every year, the picture is very similar, with Switzerland on the 4th or 5th rank in the country ranking, and most often, Switzerland has the highest success rate in all ERC grant competitions. This graph here shows you the success after the first evaluation step in the 3 different domains, PE, LS, and SH, again for the 2019 call. The dark green bar is the number of funded projects. The light green bar represents the projects that were fundable but not funded because of lack of money, so-called unfunded A. And the orange bar represents the projects that were not funded and got a so-called B. As you can see, The success rate was somewhere around 40% and below 50%. Actually, I told you that this is after the first step, but this graph represents actually the outcome after the first evaluation step for the second step. So these are the people that were exactly in your situation. You can see that the success rate varies a lot after the first evaluation step in the different panels. But overall, the success rate is more or less the same for the two evaluation steps. On this slide, you can see the number and percentage of grants per panel, again for the 2019 call, and the proportion of female grantees. As you can see, the number of proposals per panel varies a lot. On this slide here, you can see the outcome of the 2019 competition and the success rate of different types of applicants. On the left side, you can see the success of new applicants, those who submitted for the first time a proposal. Then we have the re-applicants, those who have already tried once or more times. And then we have the reapplying grantees, those who already had an ERC grant. And then we have even 2 persons who reapplied for the third time. And then on the right side, we have the average all applicants. And you can see again the dark green bar that represents the grants that were awarded. The light green bar represents again those who should get the grant but could not get funded because of too low budget, the so-called unfunded A. And then the orange and red bars are the unfunded ones with B and C rates. And you can see that the reapplying grantees have by far the highest success rate. The success rate of reapplicants is also slightly higher than that of new applicants. On this slide, you can see the number of grants in relation to the years after the PhD. It is obvious that the most of the grants were awarded to candidates being 11 years after their PhD degree. When you look at the red line, it is also obvious that the success rate doesn't increase very much with growing numbers of years past PhD. The message here is that it is well worth to submit an ERC proposal early in the career. Perhaps you can convey this message also to your younger peers. The situation is the same for the starting grant. And now 2 last slides on the actual 2020 call. 2,500 proposals were submitted, thereof 1/3 of female applicants. We expect that 343 projects will be funded, which means a success rate of around 13%. And this last slide shows you the number of submissions in 2019 and 2020 from the different host countries. As you can see, around 120 proposals were submitted from Swiss host institutions. We have no information on how many submissions came from which host institution in Switzerland and how many applicants from Switzerland were admitted to the second evaluation step. The ERC doesn't inform us on who gets to the second evaluation step. We are only informed by yourself or by your host institution. I conclude now my presentation. I would like to thank you all for your attention. You can see here again our contact details, and I'd like to mention again that we are happy to support you at any stage of your application. I wish you all the best for your interview. Believe me, I would like so much to talk to you from face to face and to congratulate you on your first success in reality. But be sure that we all three NCPs, we keep the fingers very much crossed for you, and we are looking forward to hearing from you once you get the result. My colleague Veronique remains available for you to answer your questions in the chat. With this, I wish you a very nice afternoon and goodbye.